I'm Jessica.
And I'm Kira.
And we are the Keepers of the Books, your online librarians. And we are here with a weekly reads episode. My first one is Louisiana's Way Home by Kate DiCamillo. This book's been out for a little bit. Kate DiCamillo is an award-winning author. You've probably heard of Tale of Despereaux or some of her other books.
It's a Newbery.
Exactly. Louisiana's Way Home, it was an audiobook, and it's read by Cassandra Morris. This book is for, I would say, ages 8 to 13 or grades 2 or 3 through 8, depending on reading level. And it's realistic fiction. I would definitely give this book 5 stars. It came out in October, which is actually back when I read it. This audiobook's about 3.5 hours long. It's a review book for Penguin Random House. Now, so you know, review books, we don't receive any money or anything, but we do receive the books to read them and give our honest opinion. And that's because we're librarians. Louisiana's Way Home is set in 1977. Basically, Louisiana and her granny are on a trip, and they've left Florida, and they get to Georgia, and her granny has a horrible toothache. The series of events leads them to stay at a small motel where Louisiana's future takes an unexpected turn. She knows her granny's lying and they're trying to get out of the bill. Louisiana and her granny both have a curse upon their head. Everyone that they love leaves them. So can they defeat this curse? How can they find their place in the world if those that they love the most leave? This is Louisiana's way of finding out who she is and her place in the world, while trying to deal with the fact that they are never honest about anything. In addition, you've got an amazing narrator. Cassandra Morris does a fantastic job of both narrating both an older granny and a young girl, and the other characters in the book that are every other age in between. You have a story that's just very heartwarming and you connect to her. It takes a little bit, I think, to get into the story just because of the plot. But stick with it because it is very good. Now, it's a thinner book, so sticking with it's not gonna take that long, and it's only 3.5 hours for the audio, so. Fantastic book, but you do have to get into it because of the way the plot's been set up, just to figure out what's going on.
So I apologize ahead of time. I clearly went on a Disney kick this episode. This is The Art of Disney's Mickey Mouse, and it is utterly adorable. So it goes through kind of the history of how Mickey Mouse evolved over time and shows you the different ways he was styled. And one of my favorite quotes on this book is, "I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse." Walt Disney.
Okay, you gotta show them the whole back cover though, because this is a good place to look for the art.
So this kind of gives you a glimpse of how Mickey Mouse looked over different time periods. And I just love Mickey Mouse because he stands for imagination, going outside of your comfort zone to try and achieve your dreams, which is kind of the Disney motto. There are some amazing full-page color illustrations in here from different parts of the movies, and it's just really fun to look at, but it also has a fun text that you can read too. Although admittedly I read it the first time just for the pictures, but the second time it was good. So it also has a few different renditions of what he looked like, probably in different countries or different projects.
Okay.
As well as how fans probably would illustrate him now.
This was a review copy from Disney.
Disney Editions.
Harbor Me by Jacqueline Woodson. This is a book that I actually took to Novels Committee for 6th through 8th grade. 3 hours, 50 minutes for the audiobook. It's a review copy from Penguin Random House, and again, it's realistic fiction. It's set in a classroom where you have these students who don't fit in. 6 students. It's done with a full cast narration, so the characters are super easy to distinguish, and each one has the proper accent because the characters are from different situations, different countries, variety of ethnic backgrounds, and they come together to discuss their problems and hopefully help them deal with life. And the teachers aren't necessarily there when they get this time every week to be in this classroom and just discuss. And what they find out is they have more in common than they think they do, just not quite how they thought they did. So they're not quite so different. You have kids dealing with these types of issues in real life. These kids have to deal with the fact that their lives are complicated and that they face these challenges not just in school with being bullied, but out of school as well. This Friday just kind of lets them decompress and deal with stuff before they go home. They can confide in each other. At first they don't think they're gonna be friends, but really they do end up becoming friends. The last name of the main narrator is Chimera, and I cannot say the first name and I'm not even gonna try. This book was originally written for ages 10 through 14. The characters, I believe, are in 5th grade, and they're looking back on this after it's all occurred. They're in middle school now in 6th grade. And this was a fantastic book. It's a good one for a lot of kids to read, which is why I recommended it to our novels committee.
6 Words, fresh off the boat. This is a review copy from Kingswell Press. So all the stories were submitted through a site called 6 Word Memoirs, but it was edited by Larry Smith. Each chapter has a story of somebody's immigration story, how they came to America. They're really kind of hard-hitting, especially the one where the guy had to get out of Iraq because his life was in danger and ended up in Yemen. And then as you go through the story, you'll find that there are these really neat 6-word memoirs that people submitted through the site, but all are really bring to light what it would be like to be an immigrant coming to America in the modern day.
Different situations, too.
Different situations. I would recommend this for grades 6 through 12 or ages 12 to 18.
So in that same theme, I have We Rise, We Resist, We Raise Our Voices. This audio made me cry, and then I got the book because I listened to it before it came out, and then I ordered the book from the library, and it is beautiful. It's a picture book size, and I also recommended this one for the novels committee too for required reading. 5 stars. It is written by Wade Hudson and Cheryl Willis Hudson, and it's read by a bunch of people. Some of them are Ashley Bryan, Dominic Hoffman, Bonnie Turpin, Wade Hudson, Cheryl Willis Hudson, and more. This one is actually relatively short. It's less than 2 hours, and it is an audiobook review from Penguin Random House. I'm going to recommend this for ages 8 through 13 or grades 3 through 8. Of course, the content is not always that easy to deal with just because these are some difficult topics to deal with. You're going to maybe want to do this with someone, a teacher, a parent, to help understand things like racism, bigotry, and judging people without love. This is a collection of poems, letters, essays, songs, and even more. So it's put together, it's stuff by various authors. You have stuff written by Jacqueline Woodson, Jason Reynolds, Andrea Phippen, Ellen O., Sharon Draper. These are actually middle grade through high school authors. Kwame Alexander, Rita Williams Garcia. I think it's just fine to do this even with above 8th grade with your high school kids because it's going to be paired with stuff. You're not necessarily going to have this as a standalone book. You're going to have this content and something else to go with it. Maybe news stories. This book, I loved that it was so positive. It was filled with love and hope. It was just beautiful. I mean, they dealt with such difficult topics in such a positive, hopeful, loving manner. And I think that's why it was so heart-wrenching, is just because of the way they did it. I think it will really help people to understand different points of view. Again, they dealt with these topics, racism and stuff, but with this tone of love and coming from it from a loving perspective. And that's not often done, so I love that. You had many ethnicities and religions represented in this book and this beautiful artwork. You have a lot of cross-curricular ties to pull into your lesson plans. Freedom, civil rights, education, racism, voting, religion, world religions, so you could use it even in a geography course. I like the kids get to sample some of these authors that they loved so much and maybe meet some new authors. Fantastic book. I absolutely loved it. So happy I read that one or listened to it.
Now for something a little different. Jessica, what cereal is popular among young wizards?
Horcruxes?
Tricks. So this book I'm telling her jokes from is the unofficial Harry Potter joke book.
Brian Boone, illustrated by Amanda Brack.
So you'll notice that this book has some jokes that everybody will get and other jokes which clearly not all Harry Potter fans will get.
I didn't say I didn't get them, I just didn't come up with the answers.
We love Harry Potter, and you have some friends who also love Harry Potter to share some Harry Potter jokes with. I recommend this book, the unofficial Harry Potter jokes book.
Another audiobook review for Penguin Random House. Marcus Vega doesn't speak Spanish. This is by Pablo Cartella, and it was read by the author. And this is another short one. The audio is 4.5 hours about, and you have Marcus Vega. He's a really large kid for an 8th grader. He's tall, he's just big. Has a Puerto Rican dad, and his mom is from Pennsylvania. He uses the system to his advantage, and this gets him in trouble, but he takes money from the other kids like protection money to keep them safe because he's so big, so they don't get bullied on the way to school. So take that as you will. So his little brother has Down syndrome, and so he does feel bad for those kids that aren't quite the cool kids. His little brother loves Willy Wonka. They live in Pennsylvania, and he doesn't really know his dad. But in the beginning, this issue of protecting his brother and providing protection for other kids leads to him punching a bully. This gets him in trouble, suspended. He ends up in Puerto Rico. He wants to meet up and find his dad. He barely remembers his dad. What is a family is like the surrounding question for this book. He spends his trip in Puerto Rico with his family, trying to find the family that he's been missing and craving, and maybe trying to get a handle on his future before he goes back to school, if he can go back to school. Ages 10 to 15, grades 4 through 8, fantastic book. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really did enjoy this one. Review copy from Penguin Random House.
I recently saw the Mary Poppins Returns movie, so I decided I wanted to read the books too. So they are by P.L. Travers. There's Mary Poppins Comes Back, and Mary Poppins Opens the Door. This one is the one that follows the movie the closest, and in Mary Poppins Comes Back, just like the movie, things aren't going so well in the Banks household, and so Mary Poppins returns to try and set things right. One thing about this book is parts of it follow the movie, parts of it don't. They did kind of add their own dark element to it. The book is always better.
The movie was fantastic, so that must mean the book is amazing.
Yep. So just be aware they're not quite the same, but they're both fantastic and amazing and worth watching. And kind of to go along with that, that's also from the movie, practically Poppins in every way. This is by Jeff Curdy. It follows the story of the movie and how it came to be from start to finish, and how everything plays into the movie. It's quite a fun way to look at the movie in a new way, and I highly recommend it.
It's a review copy from Disney Editions.
And you'll also like that it includes full-page
Squirm by Carl Hiaasan. This was narrated by Kirby Hayborn, which you may recognize that name. He's done a few narrations now, but he was an actor, I believe, and so he does a really good job. I did give it 3 stars, but your fans of Carl Hiaasan are going to love this book. So grades 4 through 8, or ages 9 through 14 for this one. Carl Hiaasan's middle grade fans, I should be specific, he does write adult stuff. This is a review copy from Penguin Random House. Our main character is Billy Dickens. He has like this magic with snakes. He's just really good with snakes. That plays into your plot quite a bit. But his father left when he was 4. So the checks always show up and that helps them. But their family moves around a lot. And he finds his father's address in Montana and he decides, I'm gonna go meet my dad. He wants to find out really who his father is, the truth about it, because he's heard some stories. He goes on this cross-country adventure to find out the truth. Well, the truth about his father. Is his father really a secret agent? So this book is outdoorsy. You've got hiking, you've got mountains, you've got snakes. You've got bears and panthers, and you've got family drama and bad guys. And so it does have quite a bit of action and it is fun. You know who your fans are of these type of books, and those are the ones who are going to enjoy them. It does take a little while to get into the story, but that's kind of why I just gave it 3 stars, because it didn't just grab me right off, because it does, once you get into it, it's a great story.
Dragon Pearl by Yoon Ha Lee, narrated by Kieran My Guest. Dragon Pearl is a fun fantasy story that is from the Rick Riordan Presents series. The main character, her brother gets accused of desertion from the Space Force, and so she is a fox. She gets this really unique opportunity to get out of the thumb of her overbearing family and ends up going into space. Gets rescued by the same Space Force that's accused her brother, and then there's this cadet who dies in the attempt to save her, and so she decides to take on his form because she can shapeshift and assume his life so she can find out what really happened to her brother. And she discovers this whole thing going on with what's called Dragon Pearl that allows them to basically terraform a planet in a matter of minutes or completely destroy it. And she knows in the wrong hands this could be bad, and this is why her brother must have left the Space Force. But as she digs deeper, she discovers that her brother's disappearance had some higher up reasons why these people above him in the hierarchy made him disappear. And so can she rescue the Dragon Pearl in time and find out what happened to her brother? Now the narration on this is fantastic. So you have all these different characters of different backgrounds, different genders that come into play in this novel, and the narrator manages to distinguish them all and bring them to life. You really get pulled into the story. And it also has a way of just drawing you in to feeling like you're actually out there in space with the main character. The plot's well done, the characters are really well developed, and it's kind of a fun spin off of a space opera. So if you like things by Rick Riordan, you like fantasy adventure or science fiction and adventure like Star Wars, you'll like this book. This is from Listening Library, a review copy from them, and I would recommend it for grades 5 through 9 or ages 10 to 15.
This one I absolutely loved. And I actually did put it in the junior high library because I do have some kids who are really into classics, mostly 9th graders. They love Dracula. And I think one of the teachers gives them extra credit for reading it, so I thought, well, I'll give them Dracul as well. Dracul is by Dacre, Stoker, and J.D. Barker. Dacre is a descendant of Brahms, and they took some notes that they found and when he was writing Dracula, and they put this all together. This is read by Pete Bradbury, Vega Adams, and some other various people. So you have some great narrators. If this is a gothic horror, I know some of you really do like gothic horror in the past who've watched our show. Just so you know, there's violence, there's not really any language, but there is an off-page implied rape at one point. It is an adult book, but I'm gonna say grades 8 and up or ages 14 and up. It really does fit into that gothic horror novel genre, which really, I mean, you got your classics all in there. You've got your House of Seven Gables and your Dracula and Frankenstein and all those. So this is a prequel to Dracula, and the audiobook is long. It is 16 and a half hours approximately. This is a review book from Penguin Audio and the publisher. This book takes place in 1868 and when Bram is 21, but it does go back to when he's a kid. So the narration of the story really starts when he's like 6 or 8, somewhere in there. And he is a very sick child. His life is basically touch and go for quite some time. Birth through about age 7, he's bedridden. Bram is really close to his sister Matilda, and their nanny is Ellen. There's this strange string of deaths in the village and around the village. Ellen's strange behavior is becoming more noticeable when she's missing. Why she locks herself in a room for so long. Bram goes through a spell and he gets better, and then Ellen is like,
not better.
Worse. Ellen's doing bad. She's hiding. She's gone or something like that. The question is, how is Ellen healing Bram? So basically this mystery expands. Ellen disappears. Years pass. And Matilda is studying in Paris and she swears she sees Ellen. Matilda and Bram both end up coming home for a holiday and they find out that much is amiss, basically. And they're not the only ones with secrets or questions. So the mystery's just beginning. They've got a lot to figure out. So honestly, probably one of the best books I've read, like, in the last 6 months. Loved this book. Read Dracul. And especially if you're a gothic horror fan or if you like Dracula or any of that. You heard us rave about the first book, which was Ashe Princess.
So, I'll just get out of the way. I gave it a 5 stars.
It's Laura Sebastian. This is a review copy from the publisher, which is Delacorte Press. And we also had a review copy of the audio. Listening Library.
The audio is also from Random House, of course. The Lady Smoke. We have all the favorite characters come back, and not so favorite characters. Before I give any spoilers, because there's going to be some, fast forward to Jessica's next book if you have not read Ashe Princess.
Because you need to read it. It was amazing.
Because they're like
sci-fi, fantasy type stuff.
You'll love it. But
Mostly fantasy.
I will spoil it.
It's fantasy.
So, now that we have just those who have read the first book here, or don't care if I spoil it. So, it picks up right where the first book left off. They're on Dragonsbane's ship, and she's discovered that Dragonsbane is her aunt. But Dragonsbane has hatched this plan to marry off Theodosia, to basically get all the suitors from all around to come woo and court Theodosia, including, guess who? Eric from Grecki shows up as well, who also turns out to be Soren's half-brother. There's some really good possibilities. There's some people who are just offering up their army. One's just offering up their army in exchange for getting his chess set he wants back so badly.
His chess set?
Yes, apparently the Kaiser took his chess set and he wants it back. And he's really mad about it. The others are just grateful that she stopped the Kaiser from conquering their country, so they're offering up their armies. But what's weird is as she gets close to these suitors, they're dropping off. Somebody's killing them. Most think it's that the Kaiser has some nails in at this suitor convention. And is he trying to kill her? Or is he trying to kill off the suitors? Very intense mystery, action-packed, full of humor, believe it or not. as well as dark. It was definitely a well-deserved sequel to Ashe Princess, and now I can't wait for the third one. So if you liked the first one, you'll love Lady Smoke by Laura Sebastian. Once again, it's a review copy from Delacorte Press. I would recommend it for grades 9 and up or ages 15 and up.
That is all we're going to do this week, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. When you subscribe, hit the bell notification to actually get the notifications. What book have you read lately that you like? Put that in the comments below. Share with everyone. And until next time, happy reading. Bye. Bye.